it was fascinating to see how you managed to create such, catch such intimate photos of life in such a natural state with a lot of people who are not always in their natural state, you know what I mean? And I'm just curious, with the camera turned on you for this documentary, were you concerned about coming across as natural?
Yeah, I was. I tell you what, it's become used to photographing people, and I know how awkward and silly people can look, and then I didn't think my pictures were that good. So there were a number of things that were in my mind. A lot of things that were in my mind for negative, because that's not my business, you know. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean. It's not what I do. It's to show off in front of a camera.
Well, if I may ask, sir, this is for my housemate who is a professional photographer. He does bar mitzvahs, weddings, and all that good stuff. He has his own business.
That's right.
So he wants to know what your equipment's today, as opposed to when you started 4 decades ago. I mean, can you talk a bit about what do you use nowadays? And cameras have evolved over the years.
What I do with, well, I started out by using plate cameras. I mean, I'm 87 in a week's time, so I mean, I've been doing it a long, long time. And a plate camera with that you to guess the yardage. You know, like between you and me, it's 2.5.
Hey, Matthew's going to join right now. This is Rama.
Should I slip in? Hey,
Yes, please.
And things like that. Do you know what I mean? Then you watch it as a progression. You go to like the speed graphics. Then I went to Rolleiflex. Rolleiflex was just a great camera. In fact, a lot of my best pictures that I've got that I consider the best are well, the Rolleiflex. You know, the picture of Ali and the Beatles.
Yeah.
Frank and Mia.
To piggyback off that, I'm sorry, to follow up on that, so what is the key to capturing the perfect pose? Because you had that iconic Ali with Beatles, and then the Beatles and with pillow fight. How do you come up with those ideas?
Well, with the Beatles pillow fight, I heard the Beatles saying one day after a gig they had in Paris, we're back in the room, and I think it was John Lennon who said that was some pillow fight we had the other night. And the only thing that stopped me from asking for it then was there was another photographer in the room from the Daily Mail. I wasn't about to make it a team one, so I was hoping he hasn't heard this. I just hold my breath, he didn't hear it. And he didn't. Anyway, 2 nights later, they're back in the room, they're drinking, they're tired. And I said to him, how about a pillow fight? And they said, yes. Then John Lennon, who was a great guy, by the way, said, no, we look childish, so we can't do it. And they all agree, yeah. And Paul is drinking on a couch, and John slips away, comes back with a pillow and hits Paul in the back of the head. And they went from room to room, having a pillow fight. That's how it started. But before that, the manager had come in, Brian Epstein, to say we're #1 in America. I want to hold your hand. And that made them happy. So it was, you know, it was a good night for them.
Yeah.
You know, the
That's
number
amazing.
one, and then they're coming on the Ed Sullivan. They were a bit apprehensive about it because of I mean, it was not long after the Kennedy assassination, and there were trouble here, you know, in the South, you know. We were well aware of that.
Right.
But I didn't care, I was going with them.
Well, speaking of the Kennedy, I mean, the Bobby Kennedy photos you captured are just, you know, amazing. It's sort of interesting to see how people view them today as opposed to when they were first published or first shown. How do you think public's view has evolved over time over those specific photos?
Well, I know I can say this, and this is self-serving. I know I'm the only photographer who's ever covered an assassination from start to finish, because I was right behind him when it happened, and I said, you know, basically, don't fuck up today, do it tomorrow, because this is it. This is what I came in the business. This is why I'm here. This is what my business was, news photography. You know, I wasn't a rock and roll photographer, and I was saying to myself, 30th wide open, 15th the second wide open. This is what I'm just hoping to get exposure, because I'm in a place with the light moving all over. It wasn't like, I mean, there I could have done with digital. But I got all my main point pictures right, you know, and you know, the end of it, I mean, Ethel screaming, and the end of it, a little girl, one of these little girls with, you know, Bobby Kennedy for president, she puts her hat on the blood on the floor. And it was a terrible night. And I didn't go to the hospital because I knew he was dead. I could tell that it was just pouring out the back of him. And during the trouble, I got thrown on the floor. Really, cameras banging. But then what you always do is you take the film out your camera and put it in your sock, because if a policeman comes to you for your film, I want to photograph for life. I don't want to die for it, you know. I mean, and they did that to a photographer. He wasn't even there, was at the door, you know. And they're all things you take care of. And then when I'm changing film, I see that other people were shot around me. There were 5 who were shot. Not as far as you were from me, you know, very close, the camera.
Now, Mr. Matthew, Mr. Benson's career spans over, I don't know, 4 decades, you know?
No.
6.
6, I'm sorry, 6
Yeah,
decades.
yeah,
I apologize.
Sure.
He's a legend.
Yeah, my own mind didn't
We're very familiar with his works. So my question is, why is this time the perfect time for such a quintessential documentary about Harry Benson to finally arrive? Because it could have happened in any of these 6 decades.
I think though one of the hallmarks of his career is he gets to brag about the fact that he photographed 11 presidents, starting with Eisenhower.
There's 12 now.
And now there's 12.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's pretty remarkable. I mean, the timing of this couldn't be better because you have the film highlighting Trump, highlighting Hillary, his time with each candidate, but way before they were candidates. He was in their lives. He has many, many photographs of each that no one has even seen. So the timing of this feels right because of the election. It was actually supposed to come out on November 4th, prior to the election. I'm actually happy it's coming out after, because I think this film will resonate with people even more. Now that we have, I mean, Donald said yes to the interview, and we have him in the film, so I do think there's going to be some intrigue there.
Did you get a notion that he was going to run from that interview?
When we interviewed him?
Didn't get no sense at all. Okay.
But
No.
he, I'll say this. He said yes to the interview. She
Okay.
said no.
Ah.
So, what does that tell you?
You said no.
Hillary said no.
Oh.
Mm,
I
interesting.
didn't know what that. I didn't know what that was.
That's very
Why?
I'll tell you later.
Oh, you don't know what?
I know why.
Well, Mr. Benson, as an outsider, which is a compliment, being from Scotland and all, and you've chronicled pretty much our American history throughout 6 decades. So, from the outsider's point of view, what do you think about, our culture and history spanning 6 decades? Was America so twisted, or what is it?
You know, I think we're living in the best times we've ever lived.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think the worst time I came through was the 60s. 68, there was Martin was dead, was shot, so was Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
Clan was big, and big deaths every week in Vietnam. And nowadays, they've got good medicine, people are living much longer.
Mm.
You know, and you don't see much. You don't see many sort of things you saw back then. I mean that, and the riots they had back in the 60s. You know, I mean, really serious riots. I mean, Watts, Philadelphia, New York, every place went up. Burn, baby, burn. No, I think I think we're living in the best times. I mean, we don't know what it's going to be like. But yeah, we are. We're just talking away, and we're eating the pumpkins and but you know what I mean.
Right.
I hear you.
But go back to the first question.
Yes.
He came to me and asked me to do it, this show.
Oh.
And my wife supported him, jumped on, yes, you must do it. I really wanted to tell him to go and fuck himself, but I didn't.
And he did. Several times throughout the film.
He's been a good guy, though. He's done me better than I deserve, which is only a job. Don't take that too much. That can, no, but you know what I mean. No, I mean I don't look. See, I was just worried about looking like a fool, and my pictures weren't looking good enough because I've looked at them a long time, you know, and that's and I know other photographers as well, and you know, you're kind of worried about you're kind of cocky, you know.
Yeah. But for you, I mean, how would you say this documentary evolved from when you started it to where it ended up in the editing stage?
I mean, ultimately, you have a photographer who has filing cabinets in his apartment that are endless. It's literally like he doesn't know what's in there. He has an inkling of when the shoots actually took place, but when you go and look at the file and you open the Beatles folder, he has negatives that no one has really seen. And it's really remarkable because you're seeing history and you're like, well, no one's seen this, no one's seen that. And you could go on and on. I mean, we're talking now about more filmed content that could be wrapped around other, subjects in his photographs, because he literally has photographed everyone, and there's stuff that people should see. And I haven't sifted through everything yet. I mean, it's really just all there, and we're trying to figure out, okay, what's next, because, he's done dozens and dozens of photo shoots with Trump, and no one has seen them. A few get published in the magazines, but then there's all the outtakes, and they're like, that's kind of what tells the story sometimes more than anything, are the outtakes.
So how'd you decide, okay, we're going to have a segment about Michael Jackson, we're going to have a segment about Trump? How'd you decide?
It was hard to pick and choose that, because it's like, who are the icons in our culture? What will resonate with people? What do people want to see? Like, I think when he went in the bedroom with Michael Jackson, I think that was something. It's like, the magazine got to publish a few shots, but when you see the contact sheet and you do show some things that no one has seen, it's more revealing about this character that everyone knew, but not in that light. and I think that's where he shines. Is he captured them in a certain way.
So yeah, about Life magazine, so or any publication, what is your take on?
Oh, let me tell you, you do it because you're ambitious.
Mm.
That's at the bottom, like you want to take that extra chance, extra risk, but and it's also, you remember the time when you were unemployed. That crosses your mind too, and you have to do it, and it's, then you do it, actually it's interesting, you came out of violence when there was a riot feeling much stronger than when you went in. Do you know what I mean? You feel kind of, I don't mean macho, you just feel much more composed, and does that make sense to you,
Yeah. No, yeah.
It's, but I don't go, but if you look at my work, I'm not a peddler of gloom. I do all kinds of things. Michael Jackson, the Beatles, they were hard-working stories, You just want to get as close as you can to somebody. And when somebody is being friendly with you and open with you, and that's when you start to really move in closer on them. In a way, it's like an animal. He's taken, weakness, or other people are giving you a lot, then you take as much as they can give you, because you're not there to debunk them. You're there to work and do the best you can, and get out of Dodge. Another thing, after I do something that, that they might not like, but they might think about it afterwards. I don't like that picture, it's not good for my my career. And you would get a phone call at night. I would never take the phone call, and neither would my wife, because I know oh Harry, that picture of me in a bubble bath, of me doing this or that, please don't use it. Now I've got a problem because of my new best friend, who isn't my best friend. He's just telling you what you can use and what you can use. He's editing you. He's a fascist or a communist. You know what I mean? People have got to be responsible for their own words.
Right.
That's. But I'm glad I did the Beatles. I was not a rock and roll photographer. After you do the Beatles, who wants to do Hall & Oates?
Well, I like Hall & Oates, but I see.
Oh, man!
First album I ever got was by Hall & Oates.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.